Hello, bright and beautiful soul, and welcome to Spirit Mysteries. Those of you who don't know, I am Amelia, and it is an honor, as always, to share sacred space with you today. It is a very exciting day. Happy summertime for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere, and happy wintertime, winter solstice, for those in the Southern Hemisphere. And for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere celebrating this summer solstice energy, there is such a period of light. Obviously, the solstice is the day of the longest day or the longest night, and in this case with the summer solstice, it is the longest day, and this vibrant light fills our souls, and it is an opportunity to invite that light to come in its fullness. And so that means it's important that we're very receptive and very soft and flowing. And we're going to get into all those juicy details more specifically regarding Spirit Mysteries and, how all of this pertains to you and your life personally, and how you're experiencing everything that moves through you, and how it isn't you. You are not your experience. But I'm getting into the spoilers a little bit, so that's a fun little, teaser for you here. The summer solstice is also the beginning of Cancer season in the Western zodiac. And we observe this as a way to, measure, just another way of measuring time in a more spiritual sense, with all of these different archetypes and energies that we can use to reflect on in our psyche. And so Cancer season, it is about revealing, feeling, and healing, and overall the healing process and the journey of moving through that space and what that looks like. And Cancer is a water sign, and is the first water sign of the zodiac, which sort of makes it the baby water sign, and which is honestly very on point in many ways, because Cancer is both the mother and the child in essence. Cancer, the crab, there's this feeling of protection, of mystery a little bit too. I always think of the little crabs that pop right out of the sand when you're least expecting it, and then they scurry away like, almost as fast as light in many ways. And it's this kind of earthy, watery energy that creates both a sort of holy or divine mother energy, as well as a holy child in unity. And there's this feeling of nurturing that this sign brings up as well because of this. So this is shown too by how Cancer is ruled by the moon. The moon is motherhood, womb space, healing, divine feminine, that flow. And so this sign, as I said, is both the divine mother and the holy child. The womb of creation that connects them is that middle point, that meeting, sort of like divine union actually. And it's interesting, the more I'm playing with these energies, the more that I'm seeing that, wow, last month's divine union theme for Spirit Mysteries really helped us shift into this one. Because divine union is healing, and healing is divine union. And that's a very sort of mystical, broad statement that we're going to sort of just sit with and breathe into today, and just play with and explore, especially in Spirit Mysteries. So if you haven't seen last month's video, I highly recommend you check it out. It'll be a bit like this one, but with that, divine union theme. And again, they're intricately connected. Even the signs in the zodiac, Gemini moves into Cancer in sort of like a sibling way. Cancer is like the next sibling who is born after that. And in that way, they learn so much from each other. And this transition point is very important for us to acknowledge that divine union, or the coming together of divinity within the self, or the realizing of divinity in the self, that creates ultimate healing, the end of suffering. This is what bodhisattvas and gurus and spiritual teachers speak about. And this is what we're experiencing in real life, in real time. So again, I recommend, not only watching the last video or many of our previous videos for some really lovely meditations, but also checking out Spirit Mysteries. And there will be links in the description. So enjoy your treasure hunting, or your mystery hunting rather. Anyway, with Cancer here, she teaches us how to move energy through our emotional bodies. So rather than us being moved by our emotions, she teaches us how to nurture ourselves, how to create space for those energies to move through us so that we can go within and heal. And this is essentially the wisdom of the ocean, which is what we invoke when we connect with this energy. So this is a quote that I plucked from the Cancer section in the 2022 Almanac of the New Age, which you can check out by going to the Spirit Shop if you would like. Cancer energy is very receptive and highly empathic. So again, there is that feeling of being so fully receptive, just allowing yourself to experience, to catch these waves of emotions, right? Because emotions often feel like waves. Like the ocean, these waves can hit us when we least expect it, especially if we aren't in tune with the natural flow of the ocean. People who know how to navigate the ocean, people who know how to surf the waves, they are not cast aside by them. In fact, they ride them and they have fun while doing it. And so this is sort of the overall metaphor of this space, of this Cancer energy. Sometimes there doesn't even seem to be a reason or a source, right? I mean, what's the source of the ocean? It's all just sort of energy, a field of movement and flow. So here's the key. You don't need to know where this feeling came from to heal it. You just need to feel it. And this is actually something that I have struggled with for sure, because there is this idea in society that, well, it's not even an idea, it's more so of a wound, I think, of feeling guilty for feeling pain, or feeling as though your pain is some sort of punishment. And rather than just seeing the natural flow of cause and effect, right, the natural waves that create more waves and these sort of ripple effects in the water, in the field, we become attached to the waves and try and compartmentalize them to create meaning and story out of them, when in reality, many times that just sort of keeps us drowning in a cyclical loop of feeling. And so this is the wisdom that's coming through for us right now in just the most magnetic way, similar to the sound and the feel and the smell of the ocean pulling you in. Even your darkest, deepest feelings and fears coming up right now is a really, really good thing. And I promise you, if you continue to breathe in deep, anchor truth, love, and authenticity, peace, wisdom, and harmony into your heart, you will get through this. You will surf this wave. You will embody this wave. I have faith in you. And so does God. And this is part of God's creation of us. I fully believe this to be the case before I've seen it. All humans are capable of empathy. So if you resonate as being an empath or as a highly sensitive person, to me, what you're saying is, I'm human and I am incredibly aware of my humanness. Some people are human, but they're not aware of their humanness. They're not connected to that true child of humanity, as Yeshua called it, in your heart space. The pure innocence, the purity of life and creativity and flow and love. So the definition of empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. I should say this is one definition of empathy. And so even psychologically looking at this, we see empathy as just the ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes, to use your imagination and your senses to invoke the experience that that person might have been going through, which, as we're about to explore, also means exploring and learning to step into that place where you're moving the energy through you rather than the energy or the experience moving you. You move the experience through you. It's very powerful. And in this way, it's sort of a play on words here, because the word empathy comes from the Greek em, or in, and pathos, or feeling. And pathos is usually referred to as a way of arguing, philosophical debates, I should say. Argumenting. Pathos refers to the strain of logic or the strain of reasoning that is actually not very logical always. It is based solely in feeling. It is pathos. It is impassioned feelings and opinions. And so to be in this state it's very interesting to think about, because you could see it almost as being attached to these states. And what's beautiful about this care, this passion, this being so in feeling that it's like, overwhelming. I'm sure we've all had our, put it in the comments if you've had your fair share of being a blubbering mess, because it's just part of being human, especially in the presence of others. And so this natural law of empathy dictates that which is felt by one is felt by all. That's that ripple effect. That which is felt by all is felt by the one. And that's the coming back to center. You see here we have an expansion of energy where one person feels, and that creates a ripple effect in the field of feeling. And then we have all of the collective, all of the many individual people and beings and creatures that there are, all feeling many different things, and all those feelings come back to the one. All of them, good, bad, ugly, beautiful. So in this way, we are holding this really giant field, like this giant ocean of emotion in our fields. And empathy is a really powerful way of sort of streamlining that, of not just putting yourself in someone else's shoes, but seeing your true divine self within yourself first, so that you see that divine self in everything, perfectly designed to be revealed, actually. And it's within this space of feeling that great miracles are revealed. So we've mentioned this many times, and this is a pretty common concept, I believe. I was first introduced to it by our friend Patrick, actually. The idea that emotion is energy in motion. Simple as that, it's a play on words. It's a helpful way of remembering that when these intense emotions come up, they are just an experience. They're an energy that's moving through you, and you can channel it through you. You can navigate, as the chariot does, fully balanced in a state of harmony. You have this duality of these creatures leading the way, these beings leading the way, and then this divine Godhead, this divine masculine energy presenting forth structure, a streamline for this energy to move through, and a magical miracle sort of sense that happens, a sort of so it is powerful, action drives out thought kind of energy. And this is why I do see emotions as different from thought, although this is debated amongst philosophers, psychologists, and even probably some spiritual teachers. But I see emotions and thoughts as different things, because oftentimes when we have an emotion and we don't know where it comes from, our minds, our monkey minds, will make up stories for it. So our thoughts sort of add meaning to the emotion. And it happens in reverse as well. You'll have a thought that seems to come out of nowhere, and you might react to it emotionally. And all of this happens within your head. Imagine how it happens within the field of the collective, where a bunch of people who don't know that they can be telepathic are telepathic to an extent, and could be so much more. The potential for deeper levels of communication and psychic navigation is what we're exploring here. And this, I know I didn't say it, I just sort of dived right into it, or dove right into it, because it's just so, it calls to you, right? It beckons you in and is also pulling you forth. This is the Chariot. This is the Chariot card from the Patch Tarot deck specifically. And this just is like a really interesting depiction to be linked to Cancer for me, because I have always, and this is totally like my ego self, the part that is, working through the different judgments and attachments to the stories, has always been sort of negative toward Cancer energy, feeling it as more of like a lazy, sloshing kind of water sign energy. And that can be part of it. There's a heaviness to emotion that can keep us in a state of depression or lowering of vibration. And Cancer, though, at her core, is expansive as the ocean. Yes, the ocean drowns, but the ocean, you can also float, and you can flow, and you can ride the waves, you can be the waves. And this card embodies the wave. So I'm so glad that I took some time to meditate with this and tap into it without even like reading a lot academically about it. I literally just, and if you're feeling called, actually, I recommend that you touch your screen right now, and you can even put your middle finger right there in the center of that Merkaba and just breathe in this feeling. It's sort of like a rush of flow, like a wave that you catch, like an opportunity moving towards you, a sacred process in motion. Every time you have an emotion, become aware of that. Say, this is just a sacred process in motion, and I'm moving it through. And you're doing a phenomenal job, by the way. So, you may have guessed, because I basically already said it, but this month's theme in Spirit Mysteries is healing. And this just encompasses everything. I mean, for Cancer, I could have chosen womb space healing, focused on that, or, being divine mother, nurturing the inner child is a good one too. But all of these archetypes and these beautiful stories are captured in the essence of healing, in the many different ways that we heal, but at the core that it's still the same essence, because that's essentially what healing is. Healing etymologically comes from like wholeness, that sort of becoming whole again. And we can think about that in a physical way, but we can also think about it in all of the other ways, emotionally becoming whole, emotionally feeling all the feelings so that you can heal them. And that's what we're intending, that's what we're beckoning in today and for the rest of the month in our community. And so within the community, last week, Jordan asked what healing means to us. Like, what does healing mean to you? He asked the Spirit Mysteries members. And so here's what some of them said. And there are so many responses now, and they're all very beautiful. And if you want to read them, you'll just have to go in there and see for yourself. Because this is the kind of stuff that we're going to be talking about all month. And I'm so honored and thrilled that we get to talk about it in a safe space. So from Morgan, he says, processing and releasing thoughts. Simple, straightforward, and there's that feeling of release, that feeling of processing, that moving energy through you. Chloe says, releasing resistance against love and what is. Let's break that down, because that might be kind of like, whoa. Releasing the resistance, so that means letting go. Or like letting go of the blockage that puts you against love and what is. In other words, love and truth. And this is so perfect to me. I'm not sure if she did this on purpose, but it's very aligned and harmonious with, truth, love, and authenticity, which are the pillars the Spirit Mysteries is built on, and that we are actively working with in our light bodies, as well as our intellectual discussions, and just the whole thing, and exploring what that really means and what that looks like. And this essentially is saying, let go of your resistance to love and truth, and to being able to hold both in tandem. Because we often try and pick just one, and that creates discord and dis-ease even. The word disease is broken down by dis-ease, a lack of ease. So these are they're so simple, and yet they're so beautiful at the same time. I swear everyone in this community is a poet. Philip says, unifying oneself with self. And I know he had more to add to that. But like I said, you can look at the post in the community. But this is like the most straightforward aspect, the one that relates to what I was saying earlier about how divine union is healing, and healing is divine union. They're sort of one and the same. It's like the coming together and the multiplication of cells in the body coming together energetically, even emotionally, right? Being one person being empathic with the other to such a healthy, compassionate degree, not letting yourself be lost in them, but also surrendering to them at the same time. This is what we're doing with our divine selves. We're allowing our bodies to fully receive the light of the divine. So this is perfect and poetic at the same time. Unifying oneself with self, capital S self, the divine self. And yeah. So thanks be to these lovely members for sharing this. And as I said, there's so many more. We could even perhaps write a book. So there is a concept that I have learned recently, and you are the first person that I have shared this with. So congratulations. And thank you for watching. I've shared it with a couple of close people, but now you're the next closest. So blessed be, and thank you for being here to receive it. Recently, my guides and Christ Sophia have shared with me this amazing truth, which is that your physical organic body is a crystal. You are it is a carbon-based life form, which means that geometrically, it is like a crystal. It has crystalline sacred geometry, as does most things on Earth, right? That's that Earth energy of structure and form and material. So you are designed with the perfect geometry for channeling light, in the same way that even your skin absorbs, sunlight and creates vitamin D. So too does your energy field around your body have geometries that bring in more light. And as we sort of melt the two together, you are activating your crystal body. So when we're not aware of this truth, when we're not aware of how we can use these sacred vessels that our souls are dwelling in, our crystal bodies, our physical bodies, become dull, cloudy, and out of tune with divine reality, meaning not connected to truth, not connected to love, and not being its authentic, full expression. Not, being cloudy, dull, muted. If you've seen crystals like this, you know that either, they've been sitting on the shelf for a while and they're getting dusty, or you just had a really intense, saging smudge, and then that's a different kind of dirty, I guess. But it's not even just dirty, right? It's like a lack of light. There is a lack of color, a dullness to this. And we've felt this in our bodies. Again, lower vibrational feelings of anger, rage, resentment, guilt. All of these things put us in a state of dis-ease. Or are a sort of symptom of this state of dis-ease, or this state of disconnection from your true self. A lack of light in your heart, for lack of a better phrase. But luckily, as many of us know, and holla out there if you are a fellow crystal lover, although who isn't, because even if you don't work with them actively, they're beautiful pieces of earth. Beautiful pieces of earth. All crystals can be programmed, right? They're not just, to many of us, they're not just pretty little talismans to decorate your altar. They mean something. And the more we work with them and sort of enact our senses, so code our sense of touch with them, the more you are coding that crystal, and the more you are also coding and programming yourself, because it's sort of like two crystals rubbing up against each other. There's a magic that happens there. And this is the true purpose of self-love. This is why self-love is so important. You are literally infusing your cells and your DNA on a physical level with loving energy. You're expanding, massaging the energy outwards, and allowing for just some breathing room for light to move through you. Just some breathing room. And when you do this, when you heal yourself, you are cleansing, clearing, and tuning your ego and body to higher frequencies of healing, of truth, love, and authenticity as examples, but really, truly, abundance, prosperity, love, whole, full health, all of these things. I said love twice. You can tell which one I work with the most. But we expand. And again, in doing so, it creates this healing ripple effect that I'm sure you've experienced before. This is how amazing miracles and synchronicities happen between people who are open and raw and real with each other, because there's no blockage to sort of segment the energy. There is a nice constant flow of an ocean of emotion, right? Shared energy. And so these are some ideas, some practices that you can use to move energy through you. And many of you probably already know many of these. They're pretty standard as far as the type of content that's both within Spirit Mysteries as the type you may have been, stumbling upon. And it's all becoming much more popular now too, because people are becoming more attuned to just the energy of themselves, that they start to feel, oh, like what would be the best ingredient, the best medicine for this energy to move through me, more fluidly. And so many people turn to breath work, right? We do breath work twice a week now in Spirit Mysteries, and it always leaves everyone with just the absolute most tingle session in the body, and this expansive feeling in the mind, and this fullness in the heart. And even if, you don't feel that way every time, there is still this feeling of moving energy. And the more you do it, the more tapped in you are to it. And that goes for all of these. Yoga, Tai Chi, which I put waterbending in parentheses here because that is what waterbending is based off of from Avatar The Last Airbender, Tai Chi, and that movement of perfect tension, sort of the kind of tension that is like on the surface of the water. You hold the tension only of the position you're in, to move the energy, but your muscles are so relaxed and your breathing is circular. And so there's this state of, again, an ocean of flow within you, just moving the energy as easy as breathing, if not easier. Similarly, Qigong is another type of energy work or type of body movement that is like yoga and Tai Chi to move energy through you. Reiki, similar as well, although many times one would prefer to receive it from a practitioner, and so there's that. And then there's sound healing, which I have only recently gotten into, and it's just such a joy. And so much more, so many more things, healing frequencies like the sound healing, aromatherapy, just so many different ways that you can program your body to be more attuned to energy so that you can move it through you. And it makes feeling things a lot easier and a lot less messy, I have to say, as someone who was called overly emotional and dramatic when she was a kid. It is very humbling and comforting to do these practices and actually see emotional results and a balance, an ease and balance. That being said, trust both your heart, your free will, as well as, your higher self, your lower self, and the practitioners in your life, the people who you trust, the doctors, go to them for advice, but go to your heart first as well. So today, as we do, we are going to let meditation be our medicine of choice, which is kind of, you could say that all of those things actually on the last slide were a form of meditation, but stillness and silence and breathing is usually part of meditation, although there's all kinds of different ones that you can partake in. And that's the beautiful thing, because either way, you are moving the energy through you. And so, here we are. So let's just take a moment to just get comfortable. I suggest lying down for this one, on your back if you can. And just get comfortable and see if there is any tension in your body. Just notice and breathe. Notice and breathe into these spaces, these parts of your body that might feel stuck. They might feel too tight. And yet your lungs expand, don't they? And when they do, they stretch all the muscles in your body, even muscles that they don't reach. And when you exhale, feel your lungs deflate as if you're pushing air out of a balloon. And rest here for a moment, just a moment, and then inhale deeply again. And let your cells expand as your muscles unfurl. If you feel called, give your shoulder blades a little wiggle and see if you can feel the muscles of your wings, the muscles of your cosmic light wings. We're just unwinding the energy now. And if you haven't already, I invite you to close your eyes and continue to breathe deeply and see if you can slow your breathing down. Slow it down enough to gather all the light that you can possibly perceive and beyond, and gather it into your body, into your lungs. For energy, prana, follows the breath. As you sit here for a moment, continue to deepen your breath. Full inhales, long exhales, in a way that is comfortable for you. I hold a prayer and sacred intention for us now as we come together, as we gather the energy in motion of our field. That the gods, goddess, and Brahman Supreme surround us with loving protection and waves of healing. Not only for us, but for all those we interact with, whether positive, negative, or otherwise. And as you move this energy with your breath, you might feel your tummy rumble, make some digesting noises. That sacred samana, prana that is digested, information that is churned up like the waters of the ocean. Allow that to cycle through and wash over you now. And on your next inhale, become aware now of this field, this ocean of emotion. This wave of life experience. It has many colors, many textures, but only one source. And where do you think that source came from? You can't tell. This wave of waves, this field, this ocean of experience, it is a shadow of itself. These waters are dark and confused. Each wave sees itself as separate from the other wave. And this lack of connection makes the waves sharper and darker and heavier. But then you notice your wave. And you now become aware of the undeniable truth that you are a wave of light. And you breathe in through your nose and you feel that center point in your forehead fill with the sweetest, most sacred light. Indescribable, untouchable. So bright, it's almost dark. And as you continue to slowly deepen your breath, inhaling fully, exhaling slowly, you gently pull and massage that wave into your being, not just into your physical body, but into the wave of you, the wave of your life experience, your emotional body, your water body. And like a skilled waterbender, both warrior and healer, you lovingly drag your fingers down this energy and you play it like a harp in your heart. There are these strings of light that come bursting forth, filling your lungs with light and sending it all through your bloodstream, all through every cell, every molecule, every infinitesimal and infinitely large part of you, filled with divine light. And now you are light, and your light trickles down from your crystalline head into your diamond throat, through your sapphire jade heart, streaming out the rivers of your arms, down nestled in all your organs, all the juicy nectars of you in this form, into your hips, your pelvis, your sexual organs, your legs, your limbs, the energy limbs that are there, whether or not they are there physically. Feel this and know this to be true. Your feet burst with rainbow technicolor light. And you can feel, allow yourself now to feel whatever it is that you need to feel. And you do not need to give it a name. You do not need to give it a story. All you need to do is feel. If you feel like you need more time in this place, receive it now. Pause this video and let yourself feel. Know that you are safe, you are sacred, and you are sovereign. And if you are seeking another way to move this energy through you now, to let the feelings wash away, to smudge and clear and cleanse, I invite you to chant with me now. The seed of God. Om. Again, if you'd like to stay here, you can for as long as you'd like. You can use your sovereignty to press that pause button and sit here in your feels for as long as you need. Staying hydrated and supported and loved and nurtured and cared for throughout. This Cancer season energy of healing now creates a diamond, stardust, crystalline shield of harmonization, a powerful charger for your crystal body and your light body, a connector for the two, so that as you continue to breathe, whether shallow or deep, conscious or not, your divine self is directly linked, directly connected to this crystal body, to this physical self, so that you may come to know your divine self and heal all wounds, emotional and otherwise. This is my prayer, intention, and declaration for you. Breathe this in and then let it go with light and love. And as you slowly come back fully now to your body, be very, very, very gentle. Wiggling ever so slightly. Moving the geometry like a gentle dance. A gentle ebb and flow. A weave and a flee. Just as you breathe in and out continuously, your energy moves in and out through you without the need to add a story, without the need for you to even be aware of it. Breathe this in and know it to be true. And when you are fully present back in this body, give it a bit of a squeeze. Give your muscles some loving massaging. Your skin a soft, gentle touch. You can be super tender. Just allow yourself to trace your fingers over your body. You can even, if you like, imagine angelic fingers tracing over your body and just lovingly scanning for any places where the light can be a little more pressed in, a little more allowed in with the release of tension. And really just send your cells some love, especially those parts of you that give you the most trouble. They need the most love, the most love. And what we have done here, dear one, is we have opened up your cells. You can hear it in my lungs too. I'm opening up. We're opening up, making space for more light to come in, creating this intentional quantum field between light and matter, and raising the frequency up from pure density into pure light. In a way, we are taking particles and moving them into waves, and then sort of doing, both at the same time in a dance. And this is the dance that we explore every day in Spirit Mysteries. And so if this experience was moving for you, if you enjoyed this meditation, please let me know. This one is very special. They seem to just be getting more and more special the less and less that my ego has anything to do with it. And many of you probably know what I mean. There's this sort of deep surrender that's taking place that is allowing for so much more healing than we even thought ourselves possible. I think the biggest reason why many of us don't actually go through with our healing journey is, for a couple of reasons. One, it's not always easy. It's actually quite scary and terrifying at times, and you're going to have to face some pretty dark parts of yourself if you want to feel better and to actually be better, because that's the other aspect of things, is that society has taught us that it's important that you feel good, right? But these temporary sort of pleasure feelings are not where true joy comes from. True joy, according to, most gurus and many spiritual teachers, comes from within, comes from your heart, comes from the divine self who is alive within your heart. And from there, that self is embodied in all sensory pleasures. And so in this way, you're using your senses, you're using your physical body to let spirit, let God move through you. Instead of life experience just moving through you, you let God move through you, and God moves you, and spirit moves you and breathes life into everything you do. And it might not always make sense at first. But there is trust and there is faith and there is such wisdom in that dynamic, in that trust and in that faith within yourself, as well as with the people in your life and with God. This is where we start to really tap into that unity consciousness thing that we have been talking about for ages. I mean that both in our community as well as literal ages of humanity. So like I said, share your meditation in the comments, how your experience was, if you had a super mystical experience, or maybe you didn't. Maybe you were just Amelia, I just like listening to your voice. Or maybe you don't even like listening to my voice, in which case I'm amazed that you got this far. But case may be, I'd love to hear whatever your experience was, because whatever it was perfect. And it was the exact right medicine that you needed. And I trust that you know that, and that you feel that clarity in your heart, that peace that comes from welcoming in the light. So, as I said, we're going to be exploring healing for this whole month in Spirit Mysteries. So if you are not a member yet, I highly invite you to check out the link in the description and join us, because it's just going to get more miraculous and healing and spectacular throughout. We may be, focusing on healing this month, but healing is a topic that is going to be and is intrinsically related to and innately in the child that is Spirit Mysteries, in this beautiful community that we are creating and holding space for. And I'd love for you to be a part of it. And for those of you who already are, I'm also equally grateful that you were born and that you are here doing the healing work with us. No matter who you are, no matter where you come from in the world, I truly am grateful for you. And I bow to the divine in you. As you heal, the world heals. We are creating a ripple effect. And I promise you, you are here for a reason. Thank you. And have a gorgeous solstice.